Oh, it's you again. I haven't really thought that you would come here at this time of the night. You can't be up for long. You tend to sleep longer, but yeah, okay, fine. I was just counting some gold pieces to see if I can afford another ancient tome for the Sanguine Archives. Don't make this a habit of coming in unannounced. There is a bell at the door, you know. Use it, ring it, announce yourself. You might end up dead if you don't and startle me at the wrong moment. You can also make the magical gesture of the thumbs up when you enter, just to make sure that you are protected from the wards. Either way, since you are here, I may as well just guide you through the Sanguine Archives. Well, let's start, I guess. Let's start the tour and see how far we can go tonight. In tonight's venture, I kinda want to tell you about unholy alliances that the Baali made with others, and in general give you some background information on the clan structure and everything that we have. So, where to begin? Well, I guess I start that the Baali have way more support than one might think. The creepy part is most of their supporters don't even know that they support the Baali. We don't know if Troil and the Bruja were actually aware that they were siding with the Baali, but to be honest, how could they not have been aware of that, given that Moloch was in a relationship with Troil? Hard to hide then, and the Bruja were apparently blatant diabolists and child eaters back then, which just fits us. Maybe it was Moloch's influence, who knows. Anyway, as I already mentioned to you in your earlier visits, the Baali get great supernatural support from demons, black spiral dancers, and even Nefandi. Let's drop the games. We have a big support among Clan Tremere as well, and might have actually did infiltrate, the Council of Seven. Other than that, the Baali have as much or as little support as we want people to think. We infiltrate other clans masterfully, so princes, primogenies, elders, or just a lonely neonate like you might be a Baali. Many a Baali lead their own cults among mortal society and might have unknowing support from many Tremere and even real mages due to their occult knowledge and searchings. Indeed, they often befriend real mages to gain further access to knowledge. The Malachim actually have the true Black Hand, the Tal Mahera, or at least somewhat behind them, scratching our backs, and the Assaneali are said to be allied with the gods of the Outer Umbra, the ancient evil ones, and the Abyss itself. The Baali have their very own revenant family as well, the Dahabi. Originally created by the Nergali, the Dahabi family now serves the entire clan and can be found in any faction of the Baali, though they are these days, or better said, these nights, most prominent amongst the Molochim. If you thought the Tsimitsi revenant families were sick or the Giovanni depraved, wait until you see the Dahabi in action, who by the way are likely the oldest revenant family to ever have been created, hailing from the first city. That just tells you how old we really are. The Dahabi are also extremely resourceful. They are, how should I put it, of limited capability to resist intrusions into their will. They are very lacking in willpower, so they don't make good spies, but they are 100% obedient and will do whatever you want from them. They are much more loyal than any other ghouls that you will ever encounter in our world of darkness. Indeed, they are also extremely used to all the things that the Baali do, and are thus very practical to help in rituals. Don't sacrifice them though. First of all, they don't have much that's worth sacrificing. Secondly, they are much more valuable in getting sacrifices for you. Resources and other things are also something that vary greatly within the clan. It can be as much or little as you need be. Same goes for knowledge, occult powers and other areas that the Baali have strong specialities in. You should, however, be presenting yourself as wise, and you are definitely cruelly rational, a being of high intelligence, or you wouldn't be a lord. You may not have a moral guideline though, and that is just for the better. Never let second thoughts stop you, and especially not ethical matters. If Cainites are monsters, the Baali are, well, demons. I would also advise you against depicting yourself as an obvious villain, woo-hoo, spooky, no. You can do that if you like, of course, but I think it would be a much better usage of your unlife to actually sneak into other clans and become a true villain, corrupting others from within, gaining favors and being the best friend to people. Keep in mind, we are after all so bad that the Sethites, the La Sombra and even the Tzimitzi are appalled by our existence. But how many Baali do exist, do you ask? Well, the question is similar to how many Cainites do exist. It's basically up to whoever you talk to on the numbers, and they also vary wildly by region, time and even the city, as the official numbers that Canines spout usually don't up at all. Just look at how many Tremere there should be if they really do their 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 thing. Basically 7 to the power of 7. That is a very huge number of Tremere out there, and a good portion of those are Baali, so you go figure. The Baali are said to be the least numerous clan and the most numerous bloodline, which is to be taken with a grain of salt depending on how you count the Salubri and the Giovanni. However, we do know that there is entire cities that are run by the Baali, like Tyre, or firmly in Baali hands like Constantinople and Vienna, or severely Baali influenced like Mexico City and New York or Chicago. The Baali originated in, and for the longest time were, very strong in the Middle East, and of course Carthage, but constant wars with Sethites, Assamites and Salubri kinda drove us towards southern Europe. That said, we still have a presence in the Middle East, and are supposed to actually run some cities and large covens, most prominently Chorasan. The Baali are also infesting Clan Tremere more than any other, leading to the conclusion that Baali are widespread wherever Tremere are. Other clans are usually infiltrated by Baali, but most prominently the Tzimitzi, which we in special sided with in the Dark Ages, the Toreador, Bruja and even the Salubri, so wherever they are, likely Baali are present there too. Clans that are almost never infiltrated though are Assamites and Sethites, with the exception of Urshulgi. It seems that the Sethites know corruption too well to fall for it, and Serpentis is just too unique a discipline to really copy. The Assamites meanwhile are Baali killers, so try your best to avoid them. Similarly, Baali are usually near any bigger infernal cult, centers of epidemics, demonic presence and areas in which the worm is strong, and I believe it very likely that Pentex is actually firmly in our hands by now. With all of the above, keep in mind that Baali are quite picky with whom they embrace, which is kind of a miracle that you made it, but anyway. Covens in an area usually range between 3 to 13 individuals, which should be pretty much the number of Baali in most areas, though in big cities multiple covens might exist. We should also say that the 3 to 13 individuals is the standard, not the exclusive rule. Sometimes there will be 15, rare times even 17. However, it's always an uneven number, because that is a bit more diabolic. I speculate I speculate the real reason though is a different one, because Baali rarely agree with each other, and if you have a tiebreaker, that always is very, very helpful. The Baali also have strongholds in South America due to Nurgle's presence there, and the swarm Baali have migrated to the Americas in droves to defile another continent and are present in the wild areas of Northern America, Canada, and most prominently in the jungles of South America. And while pure speculation, I think it's not too unreasonable to assume that one coven or the other might have a base inside or near a volcano, given that fire can't hurt at least more experienced Baali, but it is perfect to keep out other vampires and even hunters. Baali hideouts, at least from older ones, should definitely have magical wards as well, traps and a lot of fire-based such, as they won't harm you, but they will definitely annihilate intruders. However, you need to learn a bit more before you can become immune to fire, and it has its benefits. You can use a flamethrower without having to fear it backfiring on you. How we view other clans is very much based on which faction of the Baali you actually belong to. And we are also quite individualistic, so it's difficult to say something stereotypically. However, as stated, the Sethites and Asarmites are clans that we not only hate but for the wars that they waged upon us, but because they can't really be infiltrated either. The Salubri, while also being an ancient enemy of us, were infiltrated to a high degree, thanks to Ahab, by the way. Meanwhile, most other clans are useful tools for us, and I'm not really sure we have much respect for them. With the possible exception of the old clan Simitsi, who proved to be valuable allies. I should also mention that the Baali are very widespread within Clan Toreador as well, and many of Baali keep the facade of being a Toreador in order to appear less, let's say, intimidating, maybe. The Toreador are often seen as not exactly the most frightening, cruel, or indeed unholy clan, so they make for good covers, and you can just indulge into some debauchery without raising suspicion. For the same reason, the Toreador Antichibi are actually pretty much perfect if you just want to be yourself. Nobody will notice. Malkavians also make for good covers because all the weird things that you do can be attributed to madness. And of course, the old clan Simitsi don't really differ too much from us either, so they make for a good companion along the road. The Salubri you have to be careful with, but don't forget that we share the same founder. The Tremere though are the ultimate go-to for any new Baali, and you will definitely have a talk with the regent in your area and be introduced into the Order of the Worm to get what you need to get on your feet. Speaking of getting on your feet, I think it is time to end tonight's lesson in the Sanguine Archives. When you leave and go upstairs, do not forget to ring the bell that opens the door and assures me that you actually left. Don't forget to do the magical gesture of the thumbs up, this ancient magical powerful ward of protection. Do not forget to tell your friends about the Sanguine Archives and send them here. These times I'm just trying to catching up with these modern knights that you have here. They are quite weird and confusing. Also, I just rose from torpor and still I'm a bit stiff in my joints. So I spent my time teaching younglings like you. I hope you come back soon, but maybe not as early as you did tonight. So let's get you going. Have a good night, a lot of fun, and don't forget the magical gesture of protection.